Okay.
Okay.
Okay, good morning, sister. Good morning, teachers. Sister, yeah. Now,
Can we
yeah.
begin, Father?
Yes, sister, sure.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah, Father.
I think it is already 95 in the Zoom meeting, so it may be sufficient. Those who are interested can now move to the other one, YouTube now, because I think this is a package for 100 only.
Okay, Father, already informed.
Okay.
Can we begin, Father?
Yeah, that screen sharing is also visible there. No, that screen is being
Yes,
shared.
Father. It is clear.
Okay.
It's visible. Yeah.
Okay.
Vanessa, ma'am, you can begin.
Yes, sister.
Teachers who are speaking can unmute and speak, but all please keep muted, because otherwise it brings some additional noise. So please unmute everyone.
By education, I mean an all-round drawing of the best in child and man, in body, mind, and spirit. These are the words of our great leader, Mahatma Gandhi. Our resource person is going to help us do just the same by helping us understand better the online education challenges and possibilities. Today, St. Peter's School, Sector 16A, and St. Peter's Convent School, Sector 88, heartily welcome Reverend Dr. Father Benny Palati, the speaker of the day. A very warm good morning to you, Reverend Father, and to our respected managers, Sister Tessie Rose and Sister Anseline, our principals, Sister Nirmal Mary and Sister Nancy Elizabeth, Vice Principal, Sister Cheru Pushpam, and dear sisters and teachers. Let's start with a prayer song sung by Miss Angelina Concesao.
A very good morning, dear Father and all the teachers. Today, as we have gathered here for a seminar, let us all surrender, Father, and all of us who will be attending this seminar into the hands of the Almighty, and let us sing together. Channel of your peace, where there is hatred, let me bring your love. Where there is injury, your pardon, Lord. And where there's doubt, true faith in you. Oh, Master, grant that I may never see so much to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love with all my soul.
you, ma'am. I now call upon Principal Sister Nirmal Mary to introduce the esteemed speaker of the day.
A blessed morning to all. The chief guest and resource person of the day, Reverend Dr. Father Benny Pelati, dear managers, sisters, and my dear teachers. I am deeply privileged to welcome each one of you to this webinar, Online Education, Its Challenges and Possibilities. COVID season teaches many things, and it totally changed our attitude towards the way of life and all its dealings. It greatly injured or affected the education process and prompted us to take immediate and convenient measures to cope up with the challenges of learning process. On this occasion, I acknowledge my thankfulness to all St. Peter's teachers for your willingness and commitment that you all have been shown during this lockdown season for learning new teaching methods. But we know the situation around us is not that much positive. The struggles and difficulties of parents and children that they face in the area of learning is beyond our imagination and our control. We are also part of it and passing through mental agonies and struggles in our life. But the role of a teacher is always challenging, and her influence is immense that can create always a positive and productive atmosphere of learning. With the light of wisdom and motivation a teacher illumines in the heart of children will surely make a family joyful, and a happy family contribute for the building of a better society. The most important thing that we need to teach our children in this present era is all about 21st century skills. It is the skills that we need to lead a successful life in the midst of ups and downs. Whether we are able to succeed in it or not, there lies the success and satisfaction of our profession. In this special scenario, to motivate us with immense life experiences and profound wisdom, I am sure Reverend Dr. Father Benny Pelati is an apt person. His philosophy of education can sum up in one sentence. He loves children very much, and his passion is to educate everyone with his knowledge and experiences. These days, Father is very busy with the webinars, totally for children, youth, and parents, and helping them with his enriching and valuable wisdom. He secured ICSSR scholarship and completed his doctor's studies in education from Delhi University. Along with, he secured 3 master's degree and persistently working for the betterment of education process by being the director of the education department of Faridabad Delhi Diocese. Yes, a promising educationist with vision and mission is here with us today to guide us to deal this strenuous time with positivity. I am sure this session will motivate us with a new learning, and we will be able to reopen our online classes with much enthusiasm and vigor. On behalf of entire Petarian family, dear Father, I extend you a very warm welcome. Also, I am honored to welcome dear managers, sisters, and teachers. I wish you all an enriching and fruitful session with lots of learning. Dear Father, I invite you to begin this session. Thank you.
Good morning to one and all.
Good morning, Father.
This complete session is meant for an hour now, 1 hour. Okay. Okay, in the beginning, regarding this Zoom, already it is filled. Those who are going for some reason, one or the other reason, going out, and now, then I may not be admitting because I need to manage those things. So if someone is going out, they have to just see in the YouTube channel, because I need to manage this PPT also, the progress of the class. So please excuse in that manner. Okay. I'm just sharing the screen. So anyway, it's really a challenging time, and we are all here to think about education. I think this 1 hour we can just freely reflect on the challenges, especially this particular context, how this educational in a way adventure is opening up in front of us. This particular session, I have made it into 3 separate parts. I don't know whether I will be able to complete everything on time. Okay, when the time limit ends, please inform me so that then I can stop. Okay, we all know this corona pandemic. I think as we are educationalists, teachers, we are aware the crisis it brings to the field of education. Already, even UNESCO or the international agencies have identified and declared it as a matter of not just health crisis or economic crisis. Also, it is an educational crisis. I think we, the teachers, have to identify what is the nature of that crisis. I have titled, okay, sister principal has already spoken. It is more about online education and the possibilities. Okay, that part comes, but I just gave a little more expanded title for this particular session: Corona Education Mission, because it's a mission for us. Because we can't just stop to only few points and areas. Instead, we need to have a holistic look, and also we need to act accordingly. Okay, I just begin. Okay. Okay. There is an author named Paul Tuff. He has a good book, How Children Succeed. And there he says, it is not the so-called cognitive areas alone that makes the children successful. While many people measure a child's success through standardized tests, the author states that character rather than intelligence helps children more. Based on new research, and he was conducting many researches, also still this author is having that team of researchers and conducting regularly researches to authenticate, also to suggest new ways how to integrate so-called non-cognitive areas. That is what he also speaks, but they are cognitive areas, and how to integrate them for cognitive development of a child. And those skills also he says curiosity, optimism, perseverance, self-control. There are various life skills that are very important and which are to be clubbed into the cognitive areas for life. I just bring this author in the introduction because it's not the IQ and current practices, but a different set of skills. To say this is non-cognitive skills, but we find its practices in cognitive areas. Develop these skills in the cognitive areas: curiosity, perseverance, optimism, self-control, social intelligence. And here, plan educational activities for all these areas. People are in a way lacking many things in these areas. And now, even based on these things, now more than just thinking about learning, there is a metacognition, that is thinking about thinking. That is the new pattern, thinking about how children think and what all things are influencing their thinking. That is where the psychologists are more focused. So take advantages of these natural expressions of children and develop them into the cognitive practices. I start with this one, this author, because children need to be approached in a different way, especially at this juncture. So our education system also need to be just shifted from the regular ordinary practices into a new level of practices. This introductory picture, this has to be there in mind all through our educational engagements in order to make it effective. Now, I just wanted to bring three areas, as I have told. The first one is this: how corona pandemic, the shutdown, affects children. Primarily, we need to just look at children. What are they doing? Okay, the teachers of both the schools, you have already under the powerful leaders, principal managers, you have already started. And okay, even different periods, exams, even tests you have conducted. That's very good. But we need to just see how the children are living their very practical life at this shutdown. The child, focus just on to the child. Anyway, zoom our camera into capture the child. Where is my child? It's a very challenging question. We need to locate our children. Where are they? What would be their experiences, emotions, space, relations, talks? And even they were called to be naughty. Where is that naughtiness? How do they express them? Because without understanding where the child and what is the child now, we may not be able to progress in our educational endeavors. So, okay, we are sure our children are in our families, their own families. They should be learning because we are providing online material and facilities. Okay, that's not enough. Even that so-called family space may not be a secure space. Even there, how are they? What about their peers, friendships? And are they being recognized? These are very challenging questions. And we need to just journey through this risky terrain. Only then we will be able to implement proper educational practices effectively into the lives of children. So try to understand where my child or the children are. Here, as I was just interacting with children, reading a lot on these days, there are so many studies, experience sharing, and so many. So I was just going through, and I found the children are not in a way safe space. Okay, this is not okay. Maybe may not be so-called exploitations in sexual terms or that way. No, there are many other things, because as educationalist teachers, we need to see there are other areas where our children are interacting. We all play. I think during every annual day we have ugly ducklings play. Just see the character that's so-called labeled duckling. That duckling is never accepted anywhere. Goes to various places. It's always called ugly in different manners among so-called the peers, family, mothers. All I label that duckling. No, it's not even duckling, but still a duckling is identified, called, labeled as. There I was telling, it is not so-called physical beating exploitation, but experiences of that duckling. I think that is what is happening. That is where our children are now. This and how it is progressing. I don't know whether you have observed our children in our schools. During the recess, they run to their friends. And if we have closely observed, we could find they are just seriously talking many things. We may feel, what is there to seriously discuss? But they have so many things to discuss. Now, but now they don't have any private space. That way, children are exploited. And even so-called financial issues, fear, and loss of job, everything is affecting them. Their safety and security is being challenged during during this time. So, in a way, for our children, it's a matter of survival. They are in that stage. Even the studies of World War, during that World War, even everywhere, even in England, there were a good number of studies focusing on children, and it all told it is the children who lose everything. It is the same thing. All similar epidemic or big troubles bring challenges to the children, and that affects so-called their identity, their private space, their enthusiasm, their tension, and it becomes a matter of survival. And there, the importance that author Austin M. Malley told, a rose gets its fragrance from its roots, and the life of an adult gets its strength from its childhood. The childhood is so important. So I was just telling to identify this context, experience it. Even when we are providing so-called lessons through this virtual platforms, how far I am able to understand my children. That is very important. And from this day onwards, we need to have that camera, focused camera, eyes to see what is my child. Because no one is experiencing a similar traumatic thing. We have never experienced. So we are not sure, and we should not even guess. There is no space for so-called assumptions. We need to understand the ground realities. Only then we will be able to bring out positive and proper products for our children. So let's start with this context or experience of setting. So from there, we need to just move to, okay, what is the educational needs of this time. Based on these experiences of children, what should be the so-called classes, online products, relations that I am giving? Okay, as we are teachers, we are just more into the educational practices. That is what we are thinking. So there we need to understand. We can't just look past see, bring all the different varieties of things that we have done to in our classes for the academic well-being, also for academic upbringing. So we need to just identify the context and reflect and bring new products, new items, new ways of educational academic communication. So let's see the educational needs of the time, and there we need to critically see to find the educational possibilities of current time. Have a positive surveillance of the context. We need to teach, and even we need to learn a community learning, family learning, similar like our formal so-called existing or past structures, formal educational structures. We need to prepare and bring new structures and systems and implement processes, educational processes in a different manner altogether. So if we look at learning areas, even in learning areas, children are facing different challenges. These are all studies, and even UNESCO was repeatedly telling this broken learning and its effects. There is learning is getting stopped. Already their acquired knowledge is fading. Many parents, they struggle to implement effectively this remote learning and even homeschooling like practices. An achievement gap between children from poorer and richer families, that is no doubt bound to rise. And already we were experiencing after the vacation, and here in Delhi and this North Indian experience, we have a year ending at a different time, and basic major vacation is in the middle of an academic year. And there we experience whatever we have taught before the vacation, and after they come back after the vacation, we find many things lost. That is a summer learning loss. That is a phenomena. So this is going to happen in a drastic way, and the impact of these gaps in their cognitive skills, maths, reading, language, going to be in a high rate. Also the non-cognitive areas, patience, perseverance, focus, everywhere we are going to experience a different thing. Here, even the psychology today, they have COVID-19 and children's education. They were telling the psychological process of learning are all being affected during this season. Broken and interrupted learning, attention span is reduced, motivation is lost, children are not able to understand things. So all these things are there in front of us, that when we plan, understand the educational needs of this time, we need to identify all these things. So this is the larger context. As we are teachers, how children are at home, what are their educational behaviors, Based on all these things, studies, we need to see how we will be able to help our children. And our focus should be, as every child, we need to care every child and how to go about with the child. As I have told me, you are also experiencing, you have been supporting children to have effective learning experiences through online virtual platforms. That's very positive, because at least they had some challenges and motivations from school teachers. So they could have been somehow managed to so-called survive in this great period of epidemic and shutdown. Now, even though we have been supporting the children, there is a different nuance to it. The teachers and the complete schooling system, we were not prepared to do these things. There is no part in the teacher training curriculum which trains teachers to do these practices, so-called online engagement, virtual schooling, distant monitored teaching. No preparedness, no single point where in a way we were reflecting about this. But okay, immediately teachers, schools adapted in a magical speed. That is very good. But now, by understanding the real context and just evaluating our practices, we need to refine what we are doing. So when as we understand all these, now we need to get into the real situations. How can we build this educational, how can we support children in their educational needs? I mean, whatever I speak, these are not just my assumptions and so-called personal thoughts. These are all from different literature that have come on these days, because there are different studies, both national and international. If I have been just always interacting, attending different seminars and collecting this material because I am into this field, so I just wanted to experience the shift that is happening in the area of education. So there is a very clear-cut highlight. That is what this speaks. Urban and rural students. The fundamental learner, the active learner, so-called natural learner survival happens in the rural areas. This urban and rural is to be understood in a different way when we are thinking here in this educational context. Children who are getting space, ground, field, possibilities of interaction, okay, they can be just identified as so-called rural students. And urban, we know children are in 1 or 2 rooms for these 120 days. Even they have not stepped out of the door of their house. They are living in a flat. They can't go. And even parents never allow children to go out. So this urban and rural settings we need to understand. And the children of urban setting, they are identified as active learners now, natural learners, that we know, because okay, earlier so-called urban, there is an urban pattern of schooling. Okay, there is bus, security, restricted playground, special study time, tuitions, coachings, online possibilities, lots of choices. These all were providing a positive environment for the urban students. But now, nothing. They are within the walls. Maybe within a room for almost 90% of the time. I mean, all these 3-4 months, they are not able to connect. They are not able to be dynamic. They are not able to, in a way, live. So-called that liveliness is missing. We need to just understand when we are planning educational products for the children of maybe our schools, maybe catering to these urban students. Okay, may not be all. So if we are catering to these urban students, the context of their life, as we are beginning this session, I was just telling to understand the context of their life. So we need to exactly understand. And if they are in the rural setting, they are with spaces, interactions, field and all, then it is very useful for them to be. So this Indian rural are active and utilizing their credentials, their areas of engagement. We need to just further plan the products for the future. And there is a book that is John Holt, How Children Fail. So he speaks, children fail not because they are not intelligent, they are active. He states, children love to learn but hate to be taught. His experiences in the classroom as a teacher with John Holt and as a researcher brought him to conclude that every child is intelligent. However, children become unintelligent because they are customized. They are accustomed by teachers and schools to strive only for teacher approval and the right answers, and consequently, they forget everything else. Their children see value not in thinking, discovery, and understanding, but only in playing the power game of school. Okay, especially in this context, this is very relevant. When children are very young, they have natural curiosity about the world, trying diligently to figure out what's real. As they become producers rather than thinkers, they fall away from exploration and start fishing for the right answers with little thought. They believe that they must always be right and so quickly forget mistakes and how the mistakes were made. Even that is a dangerous thing. Even their mistakes, how they are being identified, that is what I was just telling. Their private space, they are being exploited even at home in a different way. So about these mistakes, that is what the next study speaks about, the monster study. The curiosity and love to learn still exists in children, but they are not recognized. So, and how that process is happening, that is what this monster study brings in. It is done by this Wendell Johnson in 19 mm, not six, that period, and he has selected just 22 children. They were all normal speaking children. He conducted his experiment in an orphanage, and he just divided 11 to groups and did not tell what he is doing. But this normally speaking children, he always gave negative talk. That means to the normal orphan, so-called normally speaking children, they already always got negative feedback. No, you are not speaking correct. You are not correct in your spelling. You are not proper. So you are not able to speak. Don't speak. So this is one or the other way. Repeatedly, it has been told to these 11 children. And the other 11, all these 22 were of similar, called similar standard, and had in a way similar language. To the other 11 children, always he told us, whatever you are speaking is wonderful. Repeat, it's so melodious. Do it, repeat it. So that way he was just giving, pushing. And at the end, the 11 children who got negative feedback, till their end, they had that fear to speak. And the other 11 always had more enthusiasm to come forward, to speak, to communicate. So I was just telling, understand the context. Then I was just telling where the children are living and how they need to be approached. So children live in natural setting, rural setting. Don't take it as interior rural villages. No, but in their context, there is the natural learner still existing, surviving. They have that intelligence. They have that curiosity still within them. This is the area where we need to now focus upon. This is where we need to work with the children. We need to identify these natural curiosities of children. And we need to ultimately find out the child. We need to situate ourselves in the context and find out the ways to teach and help our children. And there is, what we need to do is, there is a TED talk by Vinay Menon. He was speaking, if teachers are not connecting children to the context, to the practicals of the theory, children are not able or not interested. That is what he, from his experience, it's a TED talk by Vinay Menon. So it's really challenging and revealing. We tend to think that, okay, naturally, okay, children have that curiosity, no doubt. Still, they need some support, help to connect to the natural setting. Even though I was just telling, there is for the urban children, they miss many things, but there are areas, even from so-called the within the room, they can connect, maybe through the video, through the virtual realities, through the internet, YouTube videos. There are a number of opportunities, options in front of them. But what we need to do is, we need to find the child, understand the situation, and we need to help them to connect. These are a very important thing. And in the same way, this transformation has to happen through our initiatives. That is very important. And based on these things, what are we supposed to do? Okay, we are having this so-called online education activities. Still, I just wanted to suggest few points which we need to even, as I was telling, we have already ventured into this online practices. That's well and good, but we need to just refine, okay, revisit, and okay, improve further. So these points are very important. Digital media, so-called this online learning and all, we can't. This is also very important findings uh, which are coming nowadays from the field after evaluating various things. Okay, this digital education, online education can be very positive, and there may be children who are utilizing it appropriate, but the effectiveness for the majority is to be doubted. So from those experiences or studies, it is found digital media is not education, but it is basically used to connect, to teach. Now we need to just understand the nuances of this. We need to look for educational relations, group discussions, problem solving initiatives, capturing the ground realities, sharing reflections and ideas, progressive tasks. All things are possible through this online platform. Many a time, online teaching ends with the similar monologue. One person is teaching, the class is done, it is broadcasted or saved and distributed. That's over. No, it's much more. So this connection, which are the ways, there are n number of ways to connect. That is what I was just telling. Educational relations, discussion groups, problem solving initiatives, capturing the ground realities, sharing reflections and ideas, progressive tasks. All these things are, in a way, much more effectively we can conduct through connecting through these online platforms. And this is a very important. Next one is very important. This online, it needs to be identified, understood as online learning. It is not just shifting school into the online. It's not online schooling, because schooling has its own, okay, peculiar natures, its own timetable, bells, or its own power structures, its own evaluation patterns. So we are just shifting whatever we were practicing in the school into a new platform. So we make an online school. No, that is not the proper way of transformation. So that also we need to, in the digital online space, children are always better than teachers. So developing a network team, and if where children also should contribute, and they may, so they can be made active and attentive. Also, this online learning, this is where we need to just focus on learning going on. It is not schooling, strict certain things, completion, where learning may not happen. As I was just reading the classical books, so that learning may not happen. That creativity, natural learner, curiosity, that may miss. That should not happen. So learning should happen, not just schooling. And also there should be mutual trust, compassion, and the future of learning is identified as a thing that is integrated with, together with social emotional learning. We can't miss that aspect, because now also we know what all things are going to happen, because there is no exam, no certificates. How can children be evaluated or even compared for higher education, job? In all these places, social emotional talents are very important. There, in the social emotional learning, we need to find self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, responsible decision making. All these things combined together is called as social emotional learning. So here, character building happens, future skills and preparations also happen, and they are contextually related. I mean, they are related to the context. So that part we need to check in. Also, work with creativity. This is a very challenging thing. What is this creativity and how can it be integrated into this cognitive areas and practices, school practices? That's a big question. And for that, this is also from an educational talk by a leading figure. It is told, what is this creativity in the practical sense for the school children? That is what especially this talk was. And it speaks, this creativity is not just imagination, and for some it is drugs and bringing so many new ideas. It is about artists, it's about disorder. That is the way some find it. But he speaks, that person speaks, expert speaks, it is making mistakes and learning from mistakes, again making another mistake and learning from it, until you are right. So this is an option. This is an opportunity for the children to learn from their own mistakes. So they are given chances to learn from their own mistakes, and we teachers, so-called elders, support them. That is what we do. So that can be a very practical thing in our teaching pedagogical interventions. And about questions, there is a question everything inwardly and outwardly. That is by Socrates. And there is no silly questions. Okay, there may be silly intentions. So in our educational practices, these all things we need to just bring in our natural learner, and we need to boost. It is not just, as I was telling, not just completing online schooling, finishing the syllabus, completing the lessons. No, we are after every child. We are taking care of them. We are providing learning experiences. In this process of learning experiences, internet, online becomes a connecting tool, and where there are so many things that we can do. Also, social emotional learning, which is very important, and working with creativity. How do we work with creativity, and how do we support them to bring questions? And we need to find spaces for our children in the virtual world. That point I have told in a different way previously, but here their questions and their spaces, their roles, we need to find out in the process. And uh, even there are even schools internationally. This is an important thing. And now we have shifted from so-called physical one-to-one classroom system that structures into online platform. So we need to have a remote learning policy, in a way contract, where different variants, possibilities are shared, and these work as a team with the parents, because that learning has shifted from the classrooms There is no more classrooms. Even it is not just the online teaching where the learning happens. No, we can't claim. As I was telling, it is in the nature and surroundings, even though very much restricted. Children are learning in the context, and it is in the family atmosphere, in their own field, in their own very close relatives. This learning is happening. And this shift from the school, from the teacher-child relations, things are shifting to a new arena. There we need to have a remote learning policy, which gives space for the parents too. So taking their note, their experiences into the this remote learning policy. So that is also very important. And children need to experience the protection. Children need to experience the protection. That is a very important thing. Now, as I was telling, children are experiencing so many troubles and they need protection. They need this care. And if teachers are able to provide as we are there to protect you, that feeling, then we will be able to we travel with the children. So that part also we need to take care. And based on these, we need to have, in a way, develop new curriculum. Okay, already how can we develop a new curriculum, because already the textbooks are already there, it's already fixed. Okay, that may be true, but we can just identify the concepts and the pedagogical means relations in a different way for this context, for this particular situation. So those things we need to just bring in. So it's a new path that we need to build up. So that we need to, and also in a way there is a concept of unschooling. We can't just stick on to limit ourselves to the so-called old normalcy. That pattern is completely out now, because even when we are coming back to the next normalcy, we can't think of the previous normalcy just coming as such. No, won't be happening. So what we need to do is indoctrinate by unschooling. So certain practices of the past should be unschooled, deconstructed, removed. That also we need to do now. So I am just ending up with this first session. One more point. So I don't know how far you are able to follow me. I was just primarily bringing the author first to show what is child and what are their space. It is not the cognitive, so-called identified, labeled cognitive practices that they are not the only things. And we need to just attend to so-called other soft skills which have even cognitive aspects in them, and we need to integrate. Then I told to understand the context. Where is my child? That experience, with that passion, just search for the child. Where is my child? What is he or she is experiencing now? Where is she or he? At home. Okay, what? Maybe in the physically they may be inside, but are they accepted? Are they recognized? What are their feelings? Where are they? How are they doing? What is their private space? Where they speak their ideas? Okay, then next we find a natural, curious learner. To that, I brought in so-called the urban rural divide. Mean they are the there is still curiosity, live, natural learner, then okay, we need to just see if we properly manage, it's okay. Otherwise, ask that study the 22 students, if 11 are given negative uh, prompt support, then automatically they become negative. But the same children, if they are just positively pushed, they bring in positive products, better behaviors. So understanding the context, the basic principles, then we plan. We just okay, even though we have already initiated certain plans and we have done a few months of online coaching, teaching, still we need to revisit, sharpen, and we need to in a way transform. So there are some areas, okay, this online learning, it should be considered as a connect, and there are so many areas what we can do. Also, we need to bring in the parents, so we need to have a remote learning policy, and that is not a contract to sign between, no. Okay, that can also even happen, because it has to be well informed to the parents, because the schooling has shifted. But it is better for us to plan, even evaluate that, that I will speak in at the end of the last session. But this part, so we need to understand, plan, prepare a policy that helps us to not get away from the main focal areas, and also the things that are to be taken care, we will be bringing in. Also, as I was telling you, creativity, nature of the questioning attitude, caring the child, bringing the parents in, all those things have to be practiced in our educational thing. And also we need to bring new curriculum, new pedagogical relations and aspects, even though we have a fixed curriculum with us, and indoctrinate by unschooling, also basic to connect to the family and to the children. Without this connect, we won't be able to understand where the child is. It is not just online classes that is being given to, that way we are just connecting. No, we need to understand, we need to be relating, we need to help children to connect to the context. In those always we need to be connected to the children. So ultimately we are helping our children to be active. So there are there are some actions, that practices that we will be able to do from these. Still we need to develop practices based on these things. Even when we are giving online classes, we need to have certain practices, tips that we will that is useful. Our emotional care, then personal call schedule, I mean, when we are calling each child, then allowing children to share one feeling daily. So it can be expression of an art, or drawing, reading something. There are a number of writing poems, but there should be a platform for expression of one feeling daily, so that when children feel as I am being protected by the school, by the teachers, I feel valuable, and there is a space for me to actively interact, so-called positive personal space within the school and within the classroom. So this uh, this type of an organization of learning that is required, and we need to find out, develop certain tips and practices, and this what that 2020 is, it is told children may not be able to continuously sit for hours attending the classes. We also may not be continuously giving classes, but still after 20 minutes, give 20 seconds space, free time. Free time means look 20 seconds out from the screen, away from the screen, 20 seconds, 20-meter distance, that way 20 seconds get out of this so-called online screens. That is what it speaks of. So okay, and here I am I am stopping, finishing my first session. Then the next is where are we teachers now? It is about teachers, human beings. Okay, so we will just come to that portion after maybe one song or something should be there. Okay.
Yes, Father. Yes.
Okay.
Angelina, ma'am.
Yes, sister.
Yeah.
I'm here. Okay. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. To see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing holy, holy, holy. To see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing holy, holy, holy. You are holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. I want to see you.
Yes, Angelina.
Okay, now anyway, it's already 40 minutes now. No, not 40, 30 minutes now, because we started only at 10. No, oh, okay, we started 9:40. Okay, it's almost an hour. Okay, so I have, as I have been telling, three slots I have prepared, but maybe with this, if time, then okay. Anyway, I am just continuing with the next. Okay, now I just wanted to think about teachers. Okay, I was thinking about the students, and I made you to visit the context where our children are. In the same way, we need to understand where our teachers are. Because okay, we are teachers, so you need to be very conscious. It's our duty to systematically, logically understand where we are. Okay, we know that there is no problem. We go no, that style of reaction may not suit, because we are leaders and we are taking a very major responsibility. So we need to understand ourselves and plan very systematically. Only then we will also be able to cross this pandemic or these challenges. So these things, there are different roles and issues. Identity issues. Parents and children are attending classes about personal well-being. If children are not paying fees, then what about salaries in the future? There are so many things. Then about teaching and exams, what will happen? Even no rubrics are so-called permanent or exactly proper. No, we can't claim, because every now and then the situation is changing. And there are various compulsions from parents, social pressure, and we are just waiting for the new orders. And it is novel, new, challenging, also very hectic. Even connecting to the children, focusing on their creativity, bringing the online platform not just for teaching but for connecting. These are all not that easy. Then whatever happens, nothing is normal this time. Nothing is normal. So these all things, we are all under great pressure, and in a way we are forced into unknown and unprepared arena. So we need to identify these things, and we need to the tension and anxiety are not just about preparation and presentation, but even about children. We also have that so-called we are lost because we don't see our children. We don't have that free talk. So in that way also teachers are lost. And here we need to understand that, okay, teachers are human beings. We teachers are basically human beings, and we need to just understand where we are. Without understanding our own nature, our own challenges, we may not be able to move forward. So that part also we need to exactly feel. So feeling of that context, accept it, deal with it, then we can't just proceed ignoring this unmatched experiences and its effects upon us. So understand and proceed. Screen is not okay. So now there is a concept called resilience. You should be knowing, but we need to practice some of these maybe wellness practices, this resilience practices, and this is basically coming from a person, and that is that context of emerging this psychological resilience we need to understand. It was similar to this context, this World War Nazi, and this Boris, he is a Jewish, and during the time of this Nazi World War, he had to hide, and he got a farm boy identity to exist till the end of the war. Then after his parents, relatives, all were killed. This survival or these challenges forced him, motivated him to work in the field of psychology, psychiatry. From there, from his own experiences, he brought in this psychological resilience concept. We are also experiencing similar things. We need to be mindful. We need to be, we can't just ignore and put it aside. No, we are undergoing a great traumatic experience, and we need to just understand. Then we need to also bring new ideas, and we need to practice. Ultimately, for us, we need to practice these things in our lives. So this psychological resilience is an ability to mentally and emotionally cope with a crisis or to return to the pre-crisis status quickly. Resilience exists when the person uses mental processes and behaviors in promoting personal assets and protecting self from the potential negative effects of the stress or the situation. And here there are certain areas that we need to, the ability to make realistic plans and being capable of taking steps necessary to follow through within these experiences. So we need to be bold enough. Realistic, it should be realistic too. I mean, it should be capable of taking powerful steps. And the confidence in our own strengths and abilities. And that problem solving initiatives, they should come from within. The ability to manage strong impulses and feelings, we should have it. And this is personal resilience, it is from a different author, and this is these areas also, being grateful. These are all certain steps and practices that would help us to navigate through these difficult circumstances. We need to be grateful to ourselves. So there are so many strengths that we are blessed with, our own resources, relationships, health, possibilities, that we need to be mindful. We need to accept, and we need to be clear of. We need to accept what we are, the situation, and also our purpose, our vision, priorities. Only then we will be able to move. As we are teachers, we have priorities. And okay, it is not the health workers alone who are leading or who are chasing this trouble. But we are, in a way, teachers are the people who need to clearly show the way forward for the future generation. The challenge is not just going to end. Maybe for medical personnel, the challenge will get over with the medicine, the medication. Whenever the labs are ready with the medicines, the challenges of medical personnel are getting over. But teachers, it has already started. Now it is in a way you are just navigating through the exact challenges, and even for future, for many years, the teachers will have to be clear about the purpose, vision, priorities. The previous challenges are gone, but now the new challenges have come, and we need to ultimately be. We need to exist with our beliefs, even rediscovering ourselves, and we need to be useful for the. That is that as teachers we are useful, and here also for this part there are some activities that would be helpful for us. We need to understand ourselves, then we need to that resilience we need to practice for all these. Okay, support resilience. So this is it's not just self one alone. No, as we teachers, we have colleagues, we have a team to support each other. So peer support groups can serve as an effective and critical mechanism in this pursuit. Also, we need to have a real-time connection. Okay, this online, there is a connection. Okay, it's not about these formal connections, taking class deliberations. No, even free, we open our minds and sharing. There also, we need to have real-time connection. it's a game changer in allowing us to connect with others on a deeper and more personal level. So that's why we need to have that so-called real-time connection. And we need to be effective teachers enough. It is the time. Be equipped to access to students' context and to make them socially, emotionally growing. Then we need to, surely we all should be doing equip further even the technical skills, online technical skills. Okay, we are challenged to be active in these engaging platforms. So we need to be creative with children, and there is a cognitive equivalence with children. This cognitive, so we are the masterminds and we control everything over. And now we are in two separate worlds. Children understand, children live, and children work in a different way, and teachers in a way, in a different opposite distinct style. So what we need to do is we need to have be so-called equivalent with children. In there are certain good areas where we can cognitively be maintaining that equivalence with children and working with them. We have migrated, especially for teachers, we have migrated to technology. Children are born into it. It's a distant destination for us elders, but for children it's an easy, for them it is easy to navigate. So we need to be sensitive to the nature, courage of the children. We need to boost their energy. It's children's domain. So teachers and children both have unique and different capacities, strengths. So if we come together, that is cognitive equivalence. If we come together with the children, we will be able to do marvels. So that way we need to. And also, there are certain practices for this resilience, mindfulness. These are all this mindfulness. It is not just meditation, but I am both internally and externally facing myself. So my body, feeling, sensation, like emotions. Then my mind, judgments, perceptions, self-talk, thinking, choices, all these. Then externally, my nature. I am interacting with the nature, trees, roads, buildings, games, TV shows, and even with others. So this mindfulness is built through internal and external interactions, facing all these things. That is internal, body, feeling, sensation, emotions, mind, judgments, perception, self-talk, thinking, choices. Then externally, dealing with environment, nature, trees, roads, games, TV, and even with others, thinking together, feelings, emotions, motivations, mind maps. So we need to practice. And here, especially as we are experiencing this particular time, we need to self-care. Self-care is very important, and that we need to do it, even though we have a team of teachers, but we need to do it from ourselves. That's self-care. And we need to find out soft skills and influence that we can do the best. So work with those soft skills, enhance these qualities. It is the right time to act with those soft skills. And we need to show a path for the transformed education system. And here also I have just marked that socio-emotional aspects of learning, that is because that is very much important for the new era of learning. And we need to have some practices, very positive practices at home. Breathing exercises, yoga, you should have it, but still we should have. And also there is a 5-second rule, which is whenever we face a challenge, it is told immediately we need to take a decision. Okay, we need to plan, study, all those things are required, but it is said whatever we immediately take, that is what we are going to implement. If we lag on, there are various possibilities. We may just pull it aside, okay, put it aside, ignore or become lazy. So this period we are going to face not just one issue, one challenge, one after another series of challenges. We need to take action, decide, act. So this 5-second rule, okay, we may not be able to immediately act and do everything in 5 seconds, but that decision, this way I will do. So then it should be, okay, then we need to plan, we need to research how we will be able to do, what are the steps for doing, who are the participants, whom I need to bring in as a team to work out. I mean, those all things are, but as we are facing one after another different challenges daily in our field of this teaching, we need to have this thing. So let us do that, and these are certain practical activities that we will be able to do. And there is it is good to just write a sentence. This is also a practice which has been done by many these research agencies and all. What is my feeling as a teacher now? Just in a sentence, that would be, there are so many answers. I was just reading hundreds of answers by a research agency. So there were different teachers tell different things, their experience just in one sentence. And for you also, I just read out some answers, but for you just write, okay, what is as a teacher my experience in this COVID shutdown period? Just one sentence. So I mean, that is the topmost priority thing that I face. So some sink and or swim, trying to keep my students close to me. Remote learning is horrible. I mean, these are all one after another different sentences by different people. I have learned more technical tools. My stress level is through the roof. My learning curve is steep falling. I am stressed in new ways. I am teaching myself, changed me for better, exploring. I am missing my students, push me to my resources that I never had time for. So these are the responses. So we also just write, and it is good even to evaluate the nature of the response, so that we will be able to identify what I am exactly. So as a teacher, I'm a teacher here at this COVID pandemic, and as a teacher I have great role. I need to accept it, and I need to define what is my role, and okay, I need to act. So I am a teacher here at COVID-19 pandemic. Understand the areas, and our children need motivation, assistance and direction from teachers. They require it. As I was telling, they are not in safe zones. No, never in safe zone. Okay, maybe a few, but majority are not in a safe zone. And we need to maintain our academic spirit, and we need to implement them, because children are losing the learning experiences. And we have an active role in defining the nature of school education. Though there are guidelines, there is no sufficient and confirmed routes to success. There are lots of confusion. So we need to daily renew, evaluate, and act, move forward. Teachers, you have greater value now. So understanding what the exact situation and feelings of teachers, then finding out practices. If we are healthy, only then we will be able to teach and deal with this particular situation. And how we approach ourselves, it is in the same way we are going to deal with the children. And as I have told, this is a very special time, and we need to do things properly. Otherwise, we may not be able to lead. It is not just surviving, because teachers may not be valuable if you just survive in this pandemic. No, you need to be leaders, because as I told, medical professionals may cease, their relevance may cease when the medicine is ready, but your roles are going to be extended. You need to find new paths, you need to define new education models, and leave for new normal. Okay, so this is the second session. I have what about sister? I have one.
You, Father, you can continue, Father.
Okay, is there any more song? Because teachers also need some distractions.
Yeah,
That I was.
That's okay, Father. Shiva, music teacher is ready with the songs, no problem.
Okay, do it then, because that I was telling 20 because this screen time is disturbing us too. So I have one more which may not be so big. So because that exactly speaks about this educational engagement. Okay, have a song, then I will continue.
Angelina ma'am.
Yes, sister.
Yeah.
Okay, so this song, most of us would know because we sing it in our assemblies usually. It's a great day to praise the Lord. It's a great day to praise the Lord. It's a great day to praise the Lord. Walking in the light of the Lord. It's a great day to praise the Lord. It's a great day to praise the Lord. It's a great day to praise the Lord. Walking in the light of the Lord. Walk, 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 walk in the light. Walk, 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 walk in the light. Walk, 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 walk in the light. Walking in the light of the Lord. It's a great day to praise the Lord. It's a great day to praise the Lord. It's a great day to praise the Lord. Walking in the light of the Lord. Walk, 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 walk in the light. Walk, 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 walk in the light. Walk, 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 walk in the light. Walking in the light of the Lord. Walk, 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 walk in the light. Walk, 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 walk in the light. Walk, 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 walk in the light. Walking in the light of the Lord. We are walking in the light of the Lord. Thank you.
Okay, so this is the final, and it won't take long, and also I will just move faster. Okay, this is a very serious thing. I don't know how far we have started to think and reflect. How will our children come back to school? Have you started to think? It is not just about social distancing, sanitizer, soap, gloves, and mask. No. What would be their intellectual, psychological abilities? The nature of their cognition. and even the style of their learning. No doubt, the pattern of a teaching. Everything is going to shift for good or bad, not going to judge. Okay, this is a transition. And it is quite sure we are not going to get the old child. See, we can read it from the experience. There is no exams and certificates. How they will be evaluated for a job, for higher education. It is not of this particular Delhi. No, it's not. It's not the whole universe. So everyone will shift. That is why I was just repeatedly telling socio-emotional aspects of learning, integrating them into this so-called even curriculum is important. Otherwise, we won't be able to how to evaluate. We need certain parameters to evaluate the child, and even the attention span. Even though children are there and they are very much interested to be online, but their attention span, there are lots of studies, they has come drastically down. Then the interest for learning, so that perseverance from their end, it's not going to be there. Who is, we teachers were in different ways forcing them, motivating, forcing, positively punishing to maintain their interest. But now it is not just for 1 or 2 days, not for a vacation, but for in a way complete academic year. Now it seems to be. So the children whom we are going to get, who will be coming after the shutdown experiences to our school, what would be the nature of that learner? And what should be the nature of teaching at that time? Okay, now we are just trying to match this teaching with online substitutes. But that time, so-called normal time, when it becomes normal, it will be different. So integration of this online would be there. And even that so-called old menor texts as it was, the integration of online will come, and how much and what all. Here we need to understand, we need to be clear, there is no exact answers and no one is going to give it. We need to try. It's for us to act and define according to our needs, according to our understandings. So the attention span, then this is also it is not just few years. You see, all these now turn some trouble has come. Now it's okay.
It's okay, Father. It's okay. Now it's okay.
Okay. I think some internet issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So this is not just going to affect only just 1 year. There are I know. There are there are 3 or 4 batches directly, because when we speak to the children who missed their board exams, when we ask them what is their feeling, those few years, we can't just tell that, oh, for some children it's not going to affect more. No, 3 or 4 batches, especially these board exams, those children, and even children are all living with so much of dreams and plans, everything shattered. So they are all facing different issues now at this time. So these many batches are batches have been affected, and when we see there are these 12 plus to 14 years span is there. Also some batches in a very critical serious manner they are being affected. So are we going to get the same child? Will we back to the previous normalcy? It is clear that never. We are never going to come back to the previous normalcy, and we are not going to get the so-called old same child. So this we need to be clear. Only then we also will be able to, in this context, what we need to do, we need to shift. Before that, we need to foresee. Foresee means it is not just dreaming, but we need to exactly understand. Here we should ask certain serious questions. Can education be a standalone affair? We can care only just reading the books, some educational skills? No, especially at this time, we can't make it so-called compartmentalized product. No, we have different and also through online, just providing online tutoring may not be enough. We need an integrated formula. So we need to foresee and ready to, and accordingly we need to. Here, even there are still challenges. Now, as I told, there is a change, and as teachers, we need to focus on the academic engagement aspect, because we need to get all other areas. There are psychological well-being and all those things we need to attend to, but our focus should be to the academic engagement and their readiness. So we need to maintain the interest. Even see online learning. Okay, as we open the schools online, we will again start online teaching. Are we sure that children will be there with interest? No. Children, we need to maintain that interest too, making them creative, thinking, engaged in learning. So we need to plan and learn an ecosystem which is proper for this time, where discussions, expressions are all allowed. So those, in that way, we need to have that shift, and we need to have, okay, this, even though we are in a survival mode, we are not, that's not enough. We need to have further, as told, further plans, the relevance of school for the next normalcy, that is we need to foresee. And for that, we need to plan the steps. Develop maturity and courage. And our focus should be the cognitive engagement of children. That is very important. Okay, also children's wellness, emotional and mental support, their relations, and their our so-called previously we were playing with power positions. That power positions, strict rules and all may not work because we are physically we are not close, so we don't have that much control. So we need to take new patterns of influencing, making them coming together to maintain them in the so-called online platform and in the learning engagement. So they have that natural curiosity where we can work with. So that way we need to. And there now okay, UGC chairman yesterday or day before yesterday, and this last week he was just giving a talk and he was telling it was on just 26th June. What should we do? Human connectivity is important for learning. Give and take relationship. These are all important because as UGC chairman, he speaks exactly of the educational sphere, and we need heartfelt leadership and transforming education and supporting sustainability for our educational institutions to survive. That is what he was telling. So connect to one. Also, we teachers need to be mentors in a different way, not as previous ways. Okay, some of the previous characteristics we need to just maintain. If possible, now there should be certain guidelines and checklists, compassion, personal care, follow-ups, and there should be some ground rules that we need to that we maintain, fundamental rules even while we progress with online teaching, because the child, the care, personal attention, all those things need to be as fundamental rules that have to be always considered first. So teachers should help students towards transition back to school. Transition back to school. That is not just when the government is putting an order. No, preparing their minds, helping them to engage in learning. That way we can make them back to school. So that preparation we need to have. So learning routines for, we have a learning routine for regular school, class notes, PTA, checking, test, exam, friends, discussion, sharing, and different things. The same way we need to plan certain learning routines for the current time, and plan inclusion where parents, teachers, and children need to be part. And we need to have, no doubt, patience. And this is India's child geniuses by Al Jazeera TV. They have done wonderful studies to find out, and they try to find great in child. We have always a tendency to motivate and pick the best, and we pick the best from the class. That way it won't work. It's a trap, because the best in the class is only just one child, but here now we need the best in every child, so every child is there. So that way we need to continue. And there is an author, the book is Choice Words, and he clearly speaks, Peter Johnson. He speaks in the classrooms, learning environment, build emotionally and rationally healthy learning communities. And he speaks, the language is very important there. Teachers create intellectual environments that produce not only technically competent students, but also caring, secure, actively literate beings. You see, caring, secure, actively literate human beings. So choice words uh, how teachers accomplish this using their most powerful teaching tool. He says it is the language. So here, this part also I am just here. What I have told is we need to find out this particular time and the child who is going to come to our school. What would be our teaching methods and our systems and strategies? The process we will have to integrate much more online into our regular affairs when we get into the new normalcy. So for that we need to